Guys, welcome back to Gardening with Creations by DX & Co. Today we're going to do just a quick video on how I prune back my Rose of Sharons. It is a beautiful day here in October, sunny and nice and warm. Actually, I'm about to take this hoodie off, I think. So it's fall weather is the perfect time to do some trimming and pruning on your Rose of Sharons, and so I'm going to go through that with you here today. First, guys, I want to show you guys kind of the three tools that I use when I'm pruning. As you can see, I've got some weeds here. Please ignore those. I got to get out here this weekend and tidy up my garden here. And so, in particular, the ones I'm using are regular garden shears, and those are just ones that I tend to utilize for plants. You want to have two different pairs, I recommend. One for this type of pruning trees, small limbs, and then one that you're going to use for your regular garden vegetables. These are actually hedge trimmers, but I find they work very well on smaller branches as well. And then if we get any of the thicker branches, the ratchet cutters work very nicely. So if you don't have any of those, most of the time, especially with these thinner branches, you can get away with just a simple nice pair of sharp gardening shears. So let me take you over to the Rose of Sharons and show you what I'm looking to do. Guys, so as you can see, it's kind of hard to see in this lighting, but this is my Rose of Sharon bush. This one we planted when we moved into this house. It is in my actual vegetable garden because I grew my vegetable garden around it, believe it or not. So this one in particular, sorry, had to step around it. As you can see, this is my path. My Rose of Sharon grows over my path. That's how crazy it is. I pruned this one up last year and it just came back healthier than ever. Beautiful. You can see all these buds on it. It is a very late, like fall blooming style plant, so you don't get a lot of bees in it and during the summer, but it does fantastic. Just, I mean, look at this flower in the fall season. So great for fall crops, great for pollinators later in the season. So this is a really nice one. Now you can see how thick and just full it branches out, but you can also tell that, you know what, that's a little bit of chaos. So what I'm going to do is I want you guys to think Mr. Miyagi. I know, Karate Kid reference from back in the 80s, but what we want to do is think about what we want this tree to look like in the end. You can twist, you can braid, you can do all kinds of stuff with Rose of Sharons. They're a pretty hardy plant, believe it or not. They're very delicate when they're first getting started, but when they get to this stage, they're pretty hardy. I was very afraid to prune this last year. My wife was very afraid for me to prune this, and I just said, you know what, it's in my way, we're going to prune it, and it came back that much stronger. So what you want to do is envision what you want this plant to look like, and then just kind of go to town on it. So that's what we're going to do here. I want to actually shape the bottom of the tree to be more bare because I may eventually build a kind of a box around it. So I'm going to shape the bottom of the tree to be bare, and then I may do some trimming on the top just to kind of give it a clean, more rounded look. And so I'm going to get started with that. Now, let me show you just basically how I'm going to cut this. And I'm going to take you back in here. I got to weed through these pepper plants and everything. I've got some weeds going on, but you can see, okay, this is a branch. It's coming off of another branch. And you can see last year's pruning that I did right there on that node, and it just calloused over but grew a new branch. So I'm going to actually cut that branch off right there. There you go. Now, you know what's exciting about this? I can actually go plant this right now in the garden, and it can eventually take off and grow roots. I'm going to take you over and show you. I did this last year. Now, I pruned in the spring last year instead of the fall. It's not recommended, but I did prune in the spring. So if you do it early enough in the spring, you can do it. Recommended is always the fall. But let me take you and show you what I planted last year. This a branch just like this. Guys, this one needs a little bit of pruning itself, but look at that. It actually took root. I actually started this in a container and I had it sitting right here. So I started it in a pot and I had it sitting right here where these blackberry and raspberry bushes are. And then I actually transplanted it this year into this spot. I had 2 of them here. The weed whacker got to one of them. Yes, I know, bad gardener. But this was really more of a test for me. So just to show you guys that you can see the new growth that came off this. Now I can prune back this clearly dead one that started, but all this new growth, you can see it even flowered this year. We've got some pollinators on it. So I'll probably end up pruning this one back a little bit just to kind of get rid of the dead looking branches and make way for the new growth again next year. So that's goes to show you guys that all you have to do is just take a twig off and replant it, give it some nice water, and it can come back the following year. So if you want to propagate new Rose of Sharon plants, that's the way to do it. You don't have to go out and buy a bunch of them to line your fence. So back with this Rose of Sharon, I've got another one right over there in my garden, as you can see. That's a different strain of Rose of Sharon, but still a beautiful one. That one itself actually started from a twig about 5 years ago. That one we started from a twig that a friend of ours gave us. And I'm going to do some pruning on both of those today. So with this, I'm going to come in here because I don't want all these branches overtaking my pathway. So I'm going to come in here, like I said, I'm just going to go right to the base of the tree and I'm going to clip that off. I'm going to go right to the one next to it. I'm going to clip it off. So now, if you're not planning on replanting these are great. Just throw them right into your compost pile. They will break down. They are sticks, so I do recommend anytime you're composting twigs, sticks, cut them into smaller, little more manageable snippets, kind of like you cut fruits and vegetables up, just because that way when they'll break down faster in your compost piles. But you can see this one in particular broke off. We want to clear that dead stuff and make way for new growth. I cut this particular branch last season because I was afraid to go all the way down with it, and look at all the new growth that came from the bottom of it. Pruning is excellent and for the overall health of your plants. Now most people say with any pruning of any type of plant, I don't care if it's an apple tree, peach tree, any type of pruning you're doing, most people say you do not want to go over 25% of the plant at any given time. Wait for next year. Slowly shape it over a few years. So let me go ahead and get started with this and I'll show you how the results after I'm done. Okay, so I cleared away a lot of these lower branches just from this particular stalk here. And that's the one I showed you that I cut off last season. Now, I actually don't like that this is sticking out so much. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to take those ratchet ones, the larger ones that I mentioned, and I'm going to go right down here and I'm just going to take off this whole branch. Now this would be a great one to try to replant if I had a spot for another Rose of Sharon. I don't, unfortunately. But if I did, this would be a great one to try to replant with all the branches already going on it. So, but I wanted to show you just an example of where this other tool might come in handy for you. You can see, guys, I've really done a lot of just quick trimming and it's only taken me 5 minutes to get this far. But I wanted to show you an example of this particular one here. It's kind of hard to see, but it's really just dead foliage. And that's the kind of stuff you really want to get rid of on your tree. That's why pruning is so important to the overall health of your tree. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to look for, this looks like there was some new growth there. So I'm going to cut anything off the top of it that would have been dead. Kind of like the one I showed you for the starter one. So just want to give you guys an example of why it's so important to take a look at the overall health of your tree and get rid of that dead foliage, and that's why pruning is so important. So you can see the tree is already starting to take shape. Let me take a step back here. And take frequent breaks, take a step back, look at how it looks, and then go back into pruning some more. So make sure you're following and sticking to your vision. A lot of you might think it's weird that I have all this, no foliage at the bottom and I want it all focused to the top. But that's just a personal preference. As I said, I have a plan for this tree to build. I eventually may move this garden and build a deck here, so I want to put a box around the tree, you know, an open box to the top so it still gets water. And so I don't ever plan to move my Rose of Sharons, but I want to shape them. So now's the time to shape them, because next season I can continue to shape as I need to, so I can make it the way I need to, so as it continues to grow. But starting to look really good here. I've already made a lot of progress, so I'm going to keep going. So I was able to take the hedge trimmers and reach some of these taller spots. It's kind of hard to tell, but I did kind of take quite a bit off the top and actually shape it. Let me show you guys. Look at the mess I've got to clean up now. This is all just, you know, trimming, so it may not look like I've done much to this thing, but I've done quite a bit. I may end up taking this trunk line here off, that's kind of growing over the pepper plants there. I haven't quite decided yet. That if I take that off, I might come down, take it off right down here, but I'm going to give that a day or so to see if I actually want to or not, because that is taking off a big portion of that tree there. But it'll keep this shaping and growing straight up as I'd like it to. So that's an idea that I might do, including the one in the back there. It is growing upwards, but it's kind of extra. So that would allow me to just really focus on these 4 main trunks there if I do that. So something to consider, but again, I might come back and revisit it. But I was able to get a lot of that lower foliage off that I was mentioning. And so, well, any type of perennial that you're planning on dealing with, whether it be moving, trimming, pruning, anything like that you're planning to do, fall time's the time to do it. And so start in September, and that when you got those warm days, cool nights type of deal, when the weather starts to turn, you can really start to feel it mid to late September into the early October before the frost hits, because you don't want to damage with the frost. So this, I planned on doing this video probably about 2 weeks ago, but now's the first time I've been able to get out here and really start addressing it. And so I have finished up this one. I've got the other one I need to do, and prune that little baby one that I showed you initially, to get that one going for the years to come, if you will. But there you have it, guys. As always, guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did like it, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you share it with any other fellow subscribers. Subscribe yourself, and make sure that you hit that notification bell so you don't miss any additional content to come in the future. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Be safe and enjoy your gardens.